You're planning on taking a vacation to Rome. Now, the first place you may be thinking to visit is here, the Colosseum. It's one of the most well-known Roman destinations after all. Or perhaps you were most wanting to see the Vatican City. Maybe you'll catch a glimpse of the Pope. But what if I told you that there was somewhere even more magical to visit while in Rome? Well, there is, and it's called the Villa Borghese. During this presentation, we will be sharing with you some of the history and things to do while visiting the villa, and hopefully you will be convinced to add this must-see destination to your stay in Rome.
The park known as the Villa Borghese is the second largest in Rome, and it is affectionately referred to as the heart of Rome due to its heart-shaped layout. It was owned by the Borghese family and was developed by Cardinal Scipione Borghese, the son of Pope Paul V, in 1606. His ambitions for his former vineyard was to turn it into the most extensive gardens in Rome, and he succeeded. It was then redesigned in the Naturalist English style and became a public park in 1903. So that means that the gardens are free. Some beautiful places to see include the Temple of Asclepius, the Temple of Diana, some of the many fountains, and much, much more. In particular, the Temple of Asclepius is located on a small artificial island and is part of the lake garden and can be viewed intimately by boat as well. The Villa Borghese has so much to it. There are gardens that were mentioned previously, but there is also the Piazza Siena. The Piazza Siena was modeled after the town square in the 18th century. It has been used for many types of events, but the most famous event is the horse racing. The horse racing started in 1922 and has continued on since. To attend the race, you do not need to pay or reserve a spot, but if you'd like a closer up spot, you need to pay. But if you are comfortable being at a distance, it is free. The zoological garden in the Villa Borghese is 100 years old and was founded in 1908 with the purpose of the Borghese family keeping rare and exotic animals. It is now turned into a public zoo with the new purpose of rehabilitating animals and releasing them. This zoo has many types of amphibians, mammals, and reptiles. It is best to buy tickets online, and the zoo is open from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. The Villa Borghese is meant to resemble English gardens, so it makes sense that there is a theater that resembles the classic Elizabethan theater. The Silvani Tito Globe Theater, you can expect to see Elizabethan tragedies and comedies. In the summer, guests can expect the Shakespeare Festival to be performed, but it's best to freshen up on your Italian, for none is spoken in English. The tickets cost 10 to 30 euros, which is equivalent to 10 to 30 US dollars, and it is open every night except on Mondays.
No trip to the Borghese Villa can be considered complete without a trip to the museum that is also located within the park. The Borghese Gallery in Rome is touted as one of the most famous galleries in the world, and rightfully so. The gallery is ornamented with paintings and sculptures created by Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Bernini, and a plethora of other famous artists as well. Some of the famous works that you can expect to see here include the following. Leda and the Swan, a painting by Leonardo da Vinci dated somewhere between the years of 1503 and 1510. This painting was created with tempera on panel by the followers of Leonardo da Vinci, directly inspired by his many drawings and compositions. Da Vinci had actually created many pieces of artwork surrounding this muse. Some of the original sketches in chalk and ink can still be found in some other museums, and those are exactly what inspired this painting. However, all of the paintings that he did make that included this muse have been destroyed and are no longer surviving today. Another interesting note on this subject of the painting is that it draws from pagan roots rather than roots of the church or of science. Leda and the Swan is actually directly inspired by the Roman mythology of the union between the mortal girl Leda and the god Jupiter, who had disguised himself as a swan. Another famous painting that you can expect to see at the Gallery Borghese is actually by Raphael. This portrait is known as Young Woman with a Unicorn, and it is dated between the years of 1505 and 1506. This is an oil painting, and it actually underwent a lot of phases of restoration, including one phase in which Raphael's original artistic vision was painted over, disguising the portrait as St. Catherine of Alexandria. This created some ambiguity as to who the actual original artist could have been, but extensive investigation proved that it was an original Raphael piece. Perhaps the most interesting piece of evidence that pointed towards Raphael was that this in particular painting was inspired by the Mona Lisa. As we know, Raphael loved taking inspiration from many other famous artists, and this is yet another example of that, one in which he borrowed from his friend Da Vinci. Although the Gallery Borghese has a very fine collection of paintings made by very famous artists, it is much more well known for its collection of sculptures. In particular, the sculpture of Apollo and Daphne by Bernini can be found at this museum. This piece was carved in marble during the years of 1622 to 1625, placing it as a piece of the Baroque period. This is yet another piece of artwork that alludes to early Rome, as it draws its mythological story from Daphne transforming into a tree to evade the pursuit of the lustful god Apollo. This piece is definitely one to marvel at in person, because it tells two different stories depending on what angle you're viewing the statue from. From one angle, you can see Daphne still in her nymph form, and another angle shows Apollo grasping at a tree. You can also see a variety of other statues carved by Bernini, as this is the gallery's largest and most well-known collection. Upon entering the Gallery Borghese, you will be able to find joy far beyond just the arts and sculptures that inhabit the museum space. The architecture includes odes to both ancient and Baroque Rome, with the inclusion of grandeur pillars, dome ceilings, and elaborate detailing everywhere you look. Most notable is the intricate fresco painting by Mariano Rossi, located in the entrance hall. It's on the ceiling, and it depicts the Roman leader Marcus Furius Camillus. Even when you're looking at the floor, you will still be able to see more Roman history in the form of mosaics, believed to have originated from the baths of Caracalla. Now, if you're planning on eating during your visit to the Villa Borghese, it is important to note that this is not the ultimate foodie destination. There are a couple of restaurants and cafes, but they are scattered very sparsely throughout the park. So if you're wanting to purchase food, it may be a bit of a journey for you to do so. That's why it is strongly encouraged to pack a small picnic. After all, this is a park, and that is the charm of it. So you're welcome to bring any outside food in that you would like and enjoy the views in a very charming environment. The Villa Borghese is located in northeast Rome, between the Piazza del Popolo and the Spanish Steps. The cheapest way to get there is by metro, with the closest stop being in Flaminio. However, if you are traveling from a location where the metro is inaccessible, for example, the Colosseum or the Vatican City, there are also a variety of very easily accessible bus lines that you can take. The Villa Borghese has a lot to offer, whether you're looking for a romantic experience, entertainment, theatrics, art history, or Roman history. The Villa Borghese lacks in none of that. It's definitely the ultimate destination on your trip to Rome, whether you're a couple or a family with kids. So we look forward to seeing you soon.